As missiles rain down on Tehran and air raid sirens echo across Tel Aviv, with the U.S. and Israel launching coordinated strikes that have already claimed Iran's supreme leader and top commanders, the world holds its breath. If America and Israel hit Iran again, which nations will rush to Tehran's defense, risking everything to stand against the West's might? Or will Iran find itself isolated in a fight for survival? This is the high-stakes geopolitical puzzle unfolding right now, where alliances forged in oil, ideology, and shared enemies could tip the balance toward a broader war, or leave Iran hanging by a thread. Stick around as we dive deep into the real countries that might back Iran, exploring their motivations, capabilities, and the massive risks involved, because understanding these shadowy partnerships could reveal how this conflict explodes or fizzles out. And trust me, the twists will keep you watching till the end. First up, let's talk about Russia's role as Iran's most vocal and potentially powerful ally. Moscow has long been Tehran's strategic partner, supplying advanced weapons like S-300 and S-400 air defense systems, drones, and even hypersonic missile technology, while collaborating on nuclear and energy projects that defy Western sanctions. In the face of U.S.-Israeli attacks, Russia has condemned the aggression as a violation of international law, with President Vladimir Putin warning that any escalation could destabilize the entire region and pledging diplomatic and material support to Iran. But would Russia go beyond rhetoric? With its own military stretched in Ukraine and economic ties to the West frayed but not broken, direct intervention like deploying troops or aircraft seems unlikely. Yet Moscow could provide intelligence, cyber support, or even veto UN resolutions to shield Iran, as it has done in the past for Syria. Russia's interest lies in countering U.S. dominance. A weakened Iran would hurt Moscow's influence in the Middle East, where Tehran helps balance against Saudi Arabia and Israel, and shared opposition to NATO expansion binds them. However, economic interdependence with Europe and China might temper full commitment, making Russia a reliable but cautious backer. Imagine Putin sending Sukhoi fighters to Iranian skies. It's possible but risky, and that's why this alliance keeps analysts guessing. Next, China emerges as another key player in Iran's corner, with Beijing's No Limits partnership providing economic lifelines through massive oil purchases. Iran supplies about 15% of China's crude, and investments in infrastructure via the Belt and Road Initiative, including ports, railways, and tech hubs that bypass U.S. sanctions. Chinese officials have criticized the U.S.-Israeli strikes as hegemonic bullying, calling for restraint and offering mediation. But behind the scenes, Beijing has supplied dual-use tech for drones and missiles, and could ramp up arms sales or financial aid if attacks intensify. Would China risk a direct confrontation? Probably not. Its economy relies on global trade, including with the U.S. and Israel, major tech partners. But Beijing could use its UN Security Council veto to block resolutions against Iran, provide cyber defenses against Western hacks, or even deploy naval assets in the Gulf to protect shipping lanes, subtly deterring further aggression. China's motivation is clear. Iran is a crucial node in its anti-U.S. strategy, countering American influence in Asia and securing energy routes, but full military support might alienate allies like Saudi Arabia, which Beijing is courting. This delicate balance means China could be Iran's silent guardian, offering just enough help to keep Tehran afloat without igniting a wider conflict. Think of it as a chess game where Beijing plays the long move. And that's what makes this dynamic so intriguing to watch. Then there's Syria, Iran's steadfast Arab ally, where Tehran has invested billions and thousands of lives to prop up President Bashar al-Assad during the civil war, deploying IRGC forces, Hezbollah proxies, and weapons to maintain a land corridor from Iran to the Mediterranean. Damascus has denounced the U.S.-Israeli attacks as terrorism, pledging full solidarity and offering bases for Iranian operations if needed. In a renewed conflict, Syria could provide logistical support, airfields for Iranian jets, or even launch joint strikes against Israel from the Golan Heights, leveraging its S-300 systems, Russian-supplied but Iranian-influenced. However, Syria's weakened state, still recovering from civil war, earthquakes, and sanctions, limits its capabilities. Direct involvement might invite Israeli retaliation, as seen in past airstrikes on Iranian assets in Syria. Assad's regime survives thanks to Iran, so loyalty is assured, but effectiveness is questionable. It's a marriage of necessity, where Syria gains protection against rebels and Israel, while Iran secures a forward base. This alliance could draw the war northward, involving Lebanon and complicating U.S. calculations, adding layers of intrigue that keep viewers speculating on the next move. Moving to North Korea, the reclusive state has been a covert arms supplier to Iran for decades, providing missile technology, nuclear know-how, and even submarines in exchange for oil and cash, defying UN sanctions. Pyongyang has remained silent on the current attacks, but historical ties suggest it could ramp up deliveries of ballistic missiles, artillery, or chemical weapons precursors if Iran requests. Would North Korea risk open support? Unlikely. Kim Jong-un focuses on his own survival amid U.S. pressure, but clandestine aid fits its playbook, as seen in supplies to Russia for Ukraine. And North Korea's interest, weakening U.S. global standing, aligns with its anti-imperialist rhetoric, and Iran's money funds its programs. This shadowy partnership adds a wild card. Imagine Iranian missiles with North Korean upgrades overwhelming Iron Dome. It's plausible and terrifying, boosting watch time as we unpack the risks of proliferation. Venezuela stands out as a Latin American ally, with Caracas condemning U.S.-Israeli imperialism and pledging solidarity with Iran under President Nicolas Maduro. The two share anti-U.S. sentiment, with Iran supplying gasoline and refineries to bypass sanctions, while Venezuela provides diplomatic cover in forums like OPEC. In a war, Venezuela could offer rhetorical support, vote against U.S. resolutions in the UN, or even host Iranian assets, but military aid is minimal. Its armed forces are underfunded and focused domestically. This alliance is more symbolic, highlighting global South resistance, but it underscores Iran's effort to build a multipolar front, keeping the narrative engaging with unexpected players. Cuba, another anti-U.S. stalwart, has echoed Iran's calls for justice, with Havana's long history of defying Washington making it a natural ideological partner. Iran has supported Cuba economically, and in return, Havana could amplify Tehran's voice in international bodies. But direct military support is negligible due to geography and resources. Still, this tie shows Iran's network extending beyond the Middle East, adding depth to the analysis. Iraq presents a complicated case. The government hosts U.S. troops, but is influenced by Iran-backed militias like Kataib Hezbollah, which have attacked U.S. bases and vowed attrition war. Baghdad has condemned the strikes but urged restraint, caught between alliances. If attacks resume, militias could intensify strikes on U.S. forces, effectively supporting Iran without official state endorsement, a hybrid dynamic that could drag Iraq into the fray, raising stakes for regional stability. Finally, Pakistan has historical ties to Iran through shared borders and energy deals like the Iran-Pakistan pipeline. Islamabad has called for de-escalation, but sympathy for Iran among its population and military could lead to quiet support, like intelligence sharing or border aid. Though, close U.S. ties, aid, F-16s, temper this. It's a tightrope that adds local relevance, keeping Pakistani viewers engaged. In conclusion, Iran's potential supporters, Russia for arms and diplomacy, China for economic backing, Syria for bases, North Korea for tech, Venezuela and Cuba for ideology, Iraq's militias for proxy fights, and Pakistan's nuanced stance form a loose coalition, strong in rhetoric, but limited in direct military commitment due to risks of U.S. retaliation. This patchwork alliance might deter full invasion but could prolong attrition, with proxies like Hezbollah and Houthis bearing the brunt. The real wild card, if China or Russia escalates, the war goes global. Stay tuned for updates as this evolves hourly. Hey everyone. If this breakdown of Iran's potential allies, from Russia's S-400s to China's oil deals and proxy militias, has you rethinking the war's trajectory, and you want more on how these partnerships could change everything, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. Your engagement boosts our coverage and keeps you ahead of the curve.